Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong. Welcome to the back office. There I was, driving along, and then boosh. Transit van, other way, smacked my car, knocked the mirror off. It's a 55157254AE. If you've got one, I'd appreciate it, because I'm not sure I can fix this. But yeah, it's definitely not happy. And judging by the look of that in there, it kind of shouldn't be up that high. So I'm really hoping I can fix this, because it will be majorly inconvenient for me to not have a working vehicle. Right, so I'm just looking for a spludger, because spludging seems to be the order of the day. And would you know it, spludger is the one thing I cannot find right now, as per usual. So let's just go with fingers, shall we? Looks like a catch here. Gonna poke something in, split the case. Just gonna worm my way around really with just fingers and whatever tools I can find. Alright, I managed to lever this glass off. It's got 8 clips. Push the mirror this way and then get in there and you'll kind of work it out. I'll flip this over and show you what I saw. So you see these clips? It's got all these clips running around this diameter thing. So if you can get in there, you can whack them out. So I don't think this will come off until you can get in here. Right, so we are in here though, and with that, we've got a lot better chance, I think, of getting further. Endless problems, always something gonna mess up my day. Look how long this screw is, bloody hell. That is one crazy long screw. So get your screw out. So I think this might work on other vehicles that use this same sort of mirror. This is a Jeep, so you might get this Jeep Commander, so maybe a Cherokee would be doing something similar, or just trying to figure out how these tabs work. I think that's kind of how they might work. Right, you just got to fettle with it, but I'll show you what it looks like. You've got these 3 tangs that are sort of sitting down, and there's one little tab that's popping up. So you've got 3 down, 1 up, and you just got to get your screwdriver in there and just prise them off. It's just a pain in the arse, but it does come off eventually. Right, so now we're into the main gubbins here. So it looks like a big old motor unit. It's like it's joined onto everything basically. So you're going to have to dismantle a lot just to even see how it's put together. They did not make this easy at all. And what I can see, there's like some sort of shaft that's going into the bottom of that motor, and that seems to be broken on this. Let's see what we can see in here. Nothing useful. Tell a lie, there might be something useful actually. I think it looks like at least something here is clipped together. So we might be able to get the insides of the mirror and the outsides of the mirror apart. Sort of cable tie holding that in. See it in there? Let's cut that cable tie. There we go. Brute force and ignorance. Get out of it. There we go. Big knot. Done. Now is there anything we can attack this side? Same sort of clip type affair it looks like. Okay, clips off. Broke one of the bloody clips though, didn't I? But it's almost to be expected at this point. Not sure if it's of any use though, but yeah, I can see that there's 3 dealy bops here now, so let's try to get those out. I'm hoping that there's some way of doing something with this cable though. I'm going to push the wire through as far as I can so I can slide this all off. Right, we're a bit further along. A little tidy up here, so we can just see what this all looks like. So yes, yeah. So there's a broken shaft there, you can see that. Something 3D printable? Maybe. Who knows? Let's look in here. Bits. Lots of bits. And that's really well and truly sort of shattered, it seems. It's not just shattered in a couple of places, it's just shattered all over the shop. So you've got a ratchet ring, which is what that bit is. So that's clearly like some sort of ratchet, like a ratchet bearing that's broken. And that's what's pushed on by that spring. So every time, that's your mirror when it goes ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. And this part is the sort of spindle that goes up and holds it all together. So that's not any good. So you can see that's how where the mirror should be, and it sort of locks into a position, but then that inner shaft would also do the same thing. Yeah, time to go on eBay, I think, and see if I can find a spare. Right, it's kind of dead. That's my conclusion. It's kind of dead, and I've gone on eBay, and to pick one up is going to be like 180 quid in Europe. That's nonsense. In the US, it's like $47. So I'm really peeved. So I'm not going to order a new one right now because I don't believe in it. But here's the motor unit. So basically, imagine you've got a motor unit, and ignore this bloody cable. This is the bit that is annoying, this cable, because it means you have to undo one end or the other to do anything with this system. But effectively, you've got a sort of collet here, and how that works, inside this collet goes this big old spring like that, and then there's a shaft that comes out of this, and there's an end of that shaft, which is this bit that's broken. So I suspect the shaft actually pushes in from this end and is clipped at the top. Either way, oh, and in here, of course, there's a kind of serrated ratchety washer thing that's also broken. And that all clamps together and basically gives you a rotating point that can be motor driven. That also, though, is just uses the spring pressure so that it can kind of move against each other over that ratchet. So if someone smashes into you, it should move quick enough. But clearly in this case, it couldn't move quick enough. So what I've got to do now, I've got to use the vehicle. I can't have it not without a mirror now. So I'm going to try to see if there's a way I can devise, and I'm pretty sure there is, to get all of this sitting together nicely and hopefully in some way that almost resembles the working version, so that even if it gets hit, it can still retract. So it's a bit of an ask, to be honest, but I don't know. I'm going to try. I need to retain this motor body though, because that effectively locates it within this system. So what I'm going to do though is probably work out how to extract this big old wire. Get out of it, you bugger. So that's not too bad, a bit of gentle routing. You'll get that cable out. There's your problem right there. How many of these connectors do you have to disassemble? No! Okay, just to let you know my strategy, I'm probably not going to bore you with the details. I'm going to poke out all of these pins after writing down all of the pin colours. I'm going to hold it up to the camera in case I need to refer to it. You've got 1, 3, 5, 7 on the top, which is yellow, orange, brown and blue. And on the bottom, you've got 8, 6, 4 and 2, and 8 is red, 6 is purple and 2 is green. 4 is not populated. And on this side, you've got grey on the pointy end. Right there, look, grey is on the pointy end. So, let's just, I'm just going to whop them off and we'll see how far we get. This is something really quite useful of note. If you spring out these two little clips here while applying a certain amount of tension, you can actually get this lock to come off. And once the lock's off, these, in theory, should just sort of come out pretty easily. So I'm just going to start with something like this green one here. Doesn't seem tugging on it, doesn't want to just drop out, I have to admit, but if a little bit of force on there, you see there's a bit of a spring there in two. I'll just hold it on the bench so it can't escape. Out it pops. Out it pops indeedy. So, rinse and repeat about a billion zillion times. Just make sure when you're pulling them out though, you're keeping them down through the whole way. So as it escapes the first window here, yeah, just pulling it through, you see it might try to lift on that second one. Just give it a little push down just to make sure that terminal lock just sort of stays down so it'll slide out. I guess they must have designed it this way so that you've got some hope, you know, of having some element of serviceability of this unit, which is interesting. Or maybe it just aids in manufacture. It's probably such a small and short wire to crimp that this is the only way they had just to get the connectors on. Either way, it's a good benefit to us, but it does mean we've got a chance of getting this blooming wire out. If you can get the wire out totally, I'm gonna remove the wire totally from this whole thing while we're going through this process, so that way I can check the alignment, check it on the vehicle, make sure everything makes sense, and then the very last thing I'll do is thread this all back through now. So that's that main one gone, the big blue one. I'm going to put that kind of loosely back on it, maybe backwards so it won't actually lock. Nope, it won't go backwards, just put it there. So the next one, which is the biggest problem, is probably this white thing. I don't think it's sort of similarly sized, but no, it's a bit much of an ask to try to get it to come through with the black wire. I would suggest it's going to be my recommended way. Andrew's recommended solution is just simply to cut that. It's going to be easy to fit back on. You can do it on the bench, a bit of heat shrink. All the colours are going to be easy to match up. Let's cut that, that's fine. And the rest is easy, child's play after that. So, now if you do have other models of Jeep and you do recognise this, please let me know, because you know there's a good chance someone else watching this video might be able to just get hold of that appropriate part in their country. Because something like Cherokees are really common here, or pretty common. I don't know if they're really common, but pretty common. And Commanders ain't. So there's even another one of those metal doohickeys in there, serrated E-type washer things. So yeah, you can imagine the construction. I can show you now. You've got this metal bit that goes in there. Then you've got this spring in there like that. That's applying tension on there. And then you've got this cap basically. So it's all squashed in and it's all held in there like so. And the end of the cap is in there. So I wonder if I could even 3D print something to replace that. It's ever so possible. Right, I'm going to try to dismantle this a little bit now. Basically sanded off those rivety things and just ever so slightly drilled into there, but that's fine. Let's take the lid off. Definitely got a lid. Seems to be trying to come off, but not quite. Bit of leverage. There we go. Hoo-hoo-hoo. So there's the gubbins and all the electronics in there. Let's get this part out. And that's it. That's all she wrote on the subject. However, looking at it, and there's your nice little gearing. So all that looks good. That part's fine. So the part that's broken is this really. This is the main bit. I think we could probably get away even with a broken one of those or fix that. But this bit here, it looks like it's kind of something that is pushed together, like it just is pushed in at the end. Bit of plastic, just a mere bit of plastic. There's a couple of tiny, ever so tiny clips in there. In fact, there's a few of those. They sort of go all the way around, so it's going to be a bloody ball ache. But yeah, so effectively, oh look, or cheat. There we go. So this part of this assembly, you see, just stays in there. It lives there permanently. and that's how that is in the factory. In fact, I think I could just clip that on. So I could put a couple of screws back in there. And this whole thing would have been assembled with that in place. So you'd have that piece there. And what else would you have? I think you had the spring. So that piece, the spring. Then this piece, which was that way round. Yeah, so that's the sort of spring compression. Then the crusty ring. So forget about that though. Pretend that's in there, the crusty ring. Then that would have been pushed into this under some tension, and then all that whole thing is then pushed into there and then crunched in with a vise. So technically I could try to glue this bit, but I'm pretty confident it won't have any strength whatsoever. My strategy is to repair this, but it's not going to be very strong, because if I glue that to that, it's just going to break instantly. So I got inspiration because my son's sick and he's got this Calpol thing. And I thought, ooh, that's a nice plastic to plastic bond. However, when you try to push it in here, you end up splitting this plastic because it's much bigger than the internal diameter of that tube. However, I do have a bit of this pipe, which is oil pipe, basically 10mm bore. So it's not great in that the internal diameter of that pipe is going to offer a lot of challenges in getting these wires in, just purely because I'm not even sure it's feasible that you can get that many wires through that. I might have a quick go actually while we're here. Let's see. Yeah, it's tight. I'll put it there. It is tight, but actually I think it will go. I think it will. Let's not worry about that then. I think that's fine. Curse you, Imperial. No, 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 no. No! Right, time to just get some epoxy on the go. It's weird this epoxy now. I seem to have depleted one side more than the other. So I've got to ignore that bit and start fresh. Ah, that's the end of it. That is the end of it. Oops. What I've got here is basically my thing now. I've put a flange of sorts on the end. My idea is I'm going to mount that there, mount that on top, and all of it will be really heavily glued. So I'll probably glue this bit individually first, make sure that's all lined up. And then later what I'll do is probably push this on and braze that. And it's not ideal because it's not flat. Maybe if I can find a bit of a washer or something before I braze it, I will. And then that hopefully should hold it together. So I'm just going to resin that up. Planetary, intergalactic, another dimension, another dimension, another dimension. Well, now don't you tell me to smile. You stick around and make it worth your while. Might need to clean that out afterwards. Fine. Give it a little wipesy wipes. Ah, sheesh. It's on both ends of this bloody stick now. Get in there, get in there. I know it's difficult now, but I kind of want to clean some of that resin off where it shouldn't be. Just mainly on the seams where it's joining the two halves. I think it's going to be beneficial to me in the long run to wipe it off now. While waiting for the glue to dry on the other bits, I've put the couple of wood screws really into the motor, just sort of drill the hole, tap them in, they're fine. And I thought I'd better power it up just to make sure in case these screws didn't, get into somewhere where they shouldn't. And there you go, it's moving around as expected. Not sure how it actually works, to be honest with you. It might be some sort of current detector circuit in the car that knows when to stop it, but who knows. But it does move forward and backwards as expected. And if we can stop that. Yeah, nope, a lot of force there. That ring that was snapped, which was this one, I actually just touched it up with a soldering iron. I actually put the pieces together with a soldering iron. I realised once it's encapsulated in that tube in here, it's not really got anywhere to go, so I'm hoping it'll just last enough There's always the danger of that breaking or coming apart at some point in the future, but to be honest, even if that's in there broken, as long as it binds up, it'll keep that mirror rigid, and that's rigid enough for me. I've waited all of an hour now, so I think it's I'm too impatient. I just want to put it on, so I probably will just put it on now. So I'm just going to show you what I've done. I've cut the end, made it shorter. I've actually cut that olive down a bit because I think it was a bit too long the way I had it. And I've very crudely, but you can see these cuts here. The idea is I'll be able to fold those back over the end of this housing, because I don't think this only really gets moved to move the mirror in and out, and it's not like most European cars where they go in all the time. This is just for you to purposely switch it in. I think in America they've got bigger roads, so they don't really care too much about that. The resin itself now is, you can put a fingernail mark in it, but so I think it's slightly tacky, not gone hard, but if you can imagine it's in this entire length of this shaft, I don't think it's going to have too much tension. And after I assemble it, what I'll do is, after I've tested it real quick, I'm going to crimp this in a sort of vise just to take the pressure that this spring will be exerting off, and then I think it's going to be okay. I've got some white lithium grease here to replace all the grease that was covering everything in here. So I think I'm kind of set. So just really, it's a case of putting it together, getting some of these screws and things safely. So I really have to try to figure out, though, the optimal way for this to go. Yeah, I want to think it's that way. I want to. Yes, and I do think it's that way. Yeah. So not sure. There we go. That took some of the tension off. Okay, I had one of the parts assembled in the wrong order, basically, and that's why it wasn't going on, but it went on now, and it's bloody tight. So I'm going to just put a bit of Scrooge in there while I can. Sploosh. Maybe I'll get some in afterwards. But now I've got to sort of reassemble it because it all went to pot on me. I'm going to go with this gear in there. That seems sensible. And I'm going to go with this gear in there. Again, very sensible. Motor. Minus detritus. Motor probably should have gone in first, but that's okay. Squeeze it in. Squeeze it in, indeedy. Get that motor in there. Whoa, that's gone everywhere. And now you have the PCB, which is real cool. Look, it's actually an epoxy coated PCB. A technique after my own heart. Let's pop that in. Hopefully this lid will fit. And it does fit, thank heavens. Thank the heavens. And I'm going to bend over my copper tags because I don't want my washer, my half olive, going anywhere, and this thing slowly pulling itself apart, waiting for the epoxy to dry. So just bend those gently. Gently, 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 gently. I think that's probably good enough. Right, I'm going to get the old motor on it because I want to see if it still runs. I wonder what the stopping criteria is for that. Again, probably current based. I don't know how the vehicle detects it, but I would say it's current based. So that's good. It went a forwards and it went a backwards. So I'm going to go through the painstaking process now of feeding the... well, I'm going to actually try to hook it all up, hook the mirror up, and we'll feed the wires through as late as possible, if that is possible. Yeah, I think it is. I got a message from the Action Man. I'm happy, hope you're happy too. I've threaded you through. Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Nice. I think that's it. That's looking pretty good now. All locked in. Let's reverse the process. I think we started with something like this. Okay. Oh yeah, it's going to go through here. Round the way, there, up and down. Right, now we do this end. There's a pinch there. Get it through the pinch. Yeah. Over the hills and far away. Teletubbies come out to play. Booyah! We're done. Let's have a little think. Let's have a little think-see about this. Remember, we definitely had a super long screw through there. Clip-tastic. Pretty painless, all in all, that part. Pretty painless clipperage. Just keep working it a little bit. You could hear there it just kind of made a little ding dang tang. So the last bits are engaging. Yeah, that's real good. Now you've got your thing here. Now the weird thing, and I hope I haven't just shot myself in the cock, is is getting this important piece on before you do everything else. Okay, that was annoying. Bloody thing. Right. I haven't put it in the big frame at the moment, so I kind of want to get these 3 little screws done, and they look like they're going to be a pain in the bugger. The buttocks. A pain in the Botox. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I think I've just realised something. I think if you undo that screw, you can pull this motor bit out, and that might give you enough to get that through. So if you're trying this, by the way, then just undo the screws, pull the motor out, and I think you can loosen it all enough so you can push the motor through the hole, screw it, and then put it all back together. It's done. That's the main thing. It's done now. I don't have to think about it anymore. I'm going to put on a head torch and go outside, and hopefully it'll just work. Get the seal on. Get your seal on. Now, final push. The final push. That side's looking good. That side's looking okay. I'm just going to put in that screw. These are the 2 screws you can put in right now. They won't spoil your appetite. Could be more perfect, but I'm kind of worried about now forcing it, seeing as we've just repaired it. I kind of need it to go further back on itself than it is. What was that noise? Oh, it's just one of these clips, I think. Okay. see how we can do this. Oh, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to try. Oh, phew. Whew. That was absolutely horrible. That's when you really freak out. But it does show that our mechanism does work properly as it should. You know, it did go backwards rather than snap. And when I put it forward, it should lock into place. And there it is, it's locked. A little bit floppy-doppy-doppy, but I think once we energise the motors and the motor take up the slack, I think we'll be okay. Right, just the glass now. So we'll put the heater contacts on the back. And we should be in business. To be honest with you, we should be in business. That's one, that's two. Objects may appear... Ah, what? That's already starting to grab before I'm even ready for it. That's it. Phew! So, hello. Hope that's been of some use to you. So here we are. There's the mirror controls and the mirror fitted. So I'm just going to switch it to right. Dink. That lets me set the angle. Goes right, goes left, goes up, goes down. Looking good so far. And then we switch it to retract. Mirror goes in. Mirror goes out. Mirror goes in. Mirror goes out. Very pleased indeed. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to fix that. In fact, I was pretty sure, you know, it was done for, to be honest with you. It's such sorry, that's my DD Pi M6, M5 chatting away. Ignore that. Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna work because it was clearly balked. But yeah, I'm just amazed. And I figure there's at least 3 different ways of fixing it. I could have 3D printed the part. That's one way. I could have actually used casting resin and cast the actual new parts, including that bearing, serrated bearing thing, using toughened epoxy resin or polymer resins. I fixed it the way I fixed it. So that's at least 3 ways. And the other way, I thought maybe I could have got a nice big nut and bolt and drilled through the center of a nut and bolt, push that right through, and then put the nut on and use the nut's pressure to clamp it all in together. So many ways to do it, but it's done. So if you've got one of these cars, or you have a car with one of these Schaffenacker mirrors. Schaffenacker make all the mirrors for most of the sort of truck size vehicles. I bet it's the same part inside and you'll be able to repair it on those. So maybe your Fords, maybe your big Mitsubishis, all sorts of things. So that's of some use to you. Please comment down below, like, share, subscribe if you're that way inclined, and click the little bell if you haven't done so, wherever it is nowadays, because that'll ping when I make a new video and it could be useful to you. As ever, thank you for watching.